Mr. Video Camera. A Datura, cocaine, cannabis, alcohol and nitrous oxide report by Way Down on errorword.org in 2010. Exams are over. My friend and I had been studying our asses off, and we were looking forward to the night which we had saved up for. We had read many a report about the majority of substances we were intending on ingesting, and yes, we both intentionally wanted to push the stupidity barriers by getting fucked up on exorbitant amounts of everything. About 4 days ago, to be precise, a uni lecturer from the toxicology unit pointed out that there were Datura plants growing around the campus, and to our amusement, we didn't have to venture very far in order to find a very enticing-looking plant filled with many of these glorious devil's trumpets. We did not hesitate in picking ourselves 3 15 to 20 centimetres flowers and a few leaves, just for kicks. So we walk and talk and walk some more until we reach our campus apartment, which we then proceed to do the usual extraction technique of boiling the flowers and leaves in a pot for a while until it was of a yellowish tinge, and then drain it, mix it with some cinnamon sugar, and let it rest in the refrigerator. The thought that consumed both of us at this point in time was almost exactly the same. A nice, cool, refreshing drink to accompany all of our other supplies. An exciting thought indeed. We then each railed up 0.2 grams of coke lines for each of us. We have both usually enjoyed ourselves immensely while under the influence of good old Charlie. After our lines, we're feeling fine, so venture on to roll ourselves a mother blunt. And it was just that. Chucked on one of our favourite albums of all time, Piper and the Gates of Dawn, and continued to draw in the sweet smoke of Mary Jane, whilst babbling on like monkeys. When reading this, it may appear that this was over a short period of time, extracting Datura, snorting the coke, etc., but it wasn't a short period of time. Maybe about 2.5 hours to the point where we smoke the last of our blunt and feel fucking fantastic. What to do now? We have quite a bit of ingesting to do before the night is through. Although a difficult question is, what next? Neither of us had touched Datura before, and we were excited to say the least. From what we had read of Datura trips, people don't feel like they are actually tripping as such, so our plan was to hook up the god-blessed video camera and get it all on cam. We then decided to not rush into it and smoke a few cigarettes, drink a few brews while sitting on the baby balcony, observing the wonders that are the campus gardens. Profound, really. This seemed a bit banal for us, so we had a few more lines. More albums, more coke, more albums, more coke. The Datura would have been chilled Mondo styles, so we pondered if right now it might be the right time to have a sippy whip. Music setting is vital, so we put on California by Mr. Bungle. On goes the recording button of Mr. Video Camera, and we get 2 pretty cups and fill each other up. It is nowhere near as bad tasting as we had prior anticipated. Maybe because of the cinnamon sugar, but it really wasn't too bad. Bitter, if anything. From our brew, we got about 1.5 litres mix. We consumed a few glasses until we had only half a litre left, which is when we decided to slow things down. We sat down to play Connect 4, which is a loved game between us. We didn't notice anything at first, obviously, so kept on playing, sparking cigarettes. Throat felt a bit dry, as did my friend's. He be called Jekyll, by the way. Connect 4 got a bit old, so we took turns using the toilet. He seemed to have no trouble taking a tinkle, but for me, it was beyond difficult. It was extremely, extremely fucking hard. And on the flip side of the coin, my bladder felt as though it may very well burst quite soon. I sat on the toilet in a bit of pain, just thinking to myself, and I noticed that my friend from high school slid under the crack of the toilet cubicle. Gee, thanks, Reen. A bit of privacy would have been appreciated, although seeing you is quite good also. How have things been? She seemed offended and disappeared. I wasn't trying to insult her, so thus it wasn't my fault, and I had nothing to feel sorry about. I come out of the toilet, and there Jekyll is, laughing hysterically, and having conversations with people he can see, but I cannot. This made me rather jealous, so I then pounce on Jekyll, and to my surprise, end up face down on the floor. I scream out, "Jekyll! Jekyll! You sneaky motherfucker! Where are you hiding?" And his head pops up behind the back of the sofa. I lunge at it again. He disappears into fat air. This game isn't fair. Jekyll then finally comes up behind me and proposes that we get out the nangulator and get into the nitrous. Fantastic idea. Not so fantastic idea. I don't know how either of us were able to complete something so complex as finding the whippets and charging them into the canister, as well as inhaling, but we did, and neither of us remember anything afterwards. After a few days of mind games and eyesight problems, him and I decided to watch the video. Yes, The video. We were shocked. We were watching ourselves as schizophrenics. Really, I would be talking to people I hadn't seen in ages, claiming that we could scratch our way to India from our apartment, smoking invisible cigarettes, constantly. I had a brawl with someone who wasn't there. Jekyll, on the other hand, sat there for a long time, in silence, and then started screaming, "Get the fuck out of my place, Alison. Get the fuck out. You're fucking with my head, you manipulative whore." He then turned to me in the video and said, "I can't handle that bitch. She comes here, pretends to love me, and then steps on my feet. It's an outrage." The night continues with us looking for the remainder of our drugs, which we had a lot of, but couldn't find. Then we went our own separate ways. I went to one side of the room. He goes to the other side of the room. I'm screaming with bugs crawling out of every orifice, while Jekyll plays an imaginary guitar. No, not air guitar, imaginary guitar. There's a difference. He got so into it at one point, he bursts out into tears and yelled, "You're a shitty crowd anyway, fuck you." Knock, knock, knock on the door. Who could it be? I'm sure I was aware that I was covered in bugs and had to act normal to the visitor, but not sure, if that makes sense. I open the door and it's our neighbour telling us to shut up or she will get us in trouble. This is when, unfortunately, the video cuts. We have not been in trouble as of yet. Datura is only exciting if you intend on watching yourself afterwards. In my opinion, of course everyone has a different reaction, but video cams are good, mark my word.